My family refused to help me with my business because they were investing in my cousin, but when his venture failed, they showed up claiming, "We built my company." I'm writing this because I still can't believe what happened, and honestly, I need to get this off my chest. I'm Marcus, 32, and I just went through the most insane family drama that's left me questioning everything I thought I knew about loyalty and blood relations. Let me start from the beginning. I come from what you'd call a business family. My dad owns 3 auto dealerships across the state. My mom runs a successful catering company, and my uncle David, well, he's the golden child who somehow turned a small landscaping business into a regional empire. Growing up, Sunday dinners weren't just about family time. They were informal board meetings where everyone discussed investments, expansions, and opportunities. So when I graduated with my computer science degree 5 years ago, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I'd been fascinated by cybersecurity since I was 16 and accidentally hacked my school's grading system. Don't ask, teenage stupidity. I had this vision of starting a cybersecurity consulting firm. Not some garage startup, but a legitimate company that could compete with the big players. I spent months preparing my pitch. Market research, financial projections, competitive analysis, the works. I even had 3 potential clients lined up who'd expressed serious interest. All I needed was $150,000 to get started, enough for office space, initial equipment, hiring 2 junior developers, and covering expenses for the first year. The family meeting was scheduled for a Sunday in March. I remember it perfectly, because I'd practiced my presentation so many times that I could recite the profit margins in my sleep. I walked into my parents' dining room with my laptop, a stack of printed materials, and honestly, complete confidence that this was just a formality. "So Marcus," my dad said, cutting into his roast beef, "tell us about this computer thing you want to do." Computer thing. Right off the bat, I should have known. I launched into my presentation, explained how cybersecurity is a $150 billion industry, growing at 15% annually, showed them case studies of successful firms, detailed my business model, demonstrated the software solutions I'd already prototyped. I even had testimonials from professors and potential clients. When I finished, there was this awkward silence. My cousin Derek, Uncle David's son, was sitting across from me, and I swear he was trying not to smirk. "It's interesting, son," my mom finally said, "but don't you think it's a bit theoretical? I mean, you're talking about protecting computers from hackers, but how do we know there's really a market for that?" I tried to explain that literally every company with an internet connection needs cybersecurity, but my Uncle David cut me off. "Marcus, here's the thing. Derek has been working on something that we think has more tangible potential." That's when Derek stood up with his own presentation. He wanted to start a craft brewery. His plan? Convert an old warehouse into a brew pub, target the artisanal beer market, and expand into distribution within 5 years. I sat there listening to him talk about hoppy IPAs and authentic brewing experiences, while my cybersecurity presentation, with its actual data and real market analysis, got pushed aside like a grocery list. "The craft beer industry is exploding," Derek said, clicking through photos of brewery equipment. "And honestly, people will always drink beer. It's recession-proof." The worst part, his presentation was maybe 10 slides, no financial projections beyond, "We'll charge $8 per pint." No competitive analysis, no backup plan, just pretty pictures of brewing tanks and a location he'd found. "How much are you asking for?" my dad asked Derek. $200,000, maybe $250,000 if we want to really do it right. Without hesitation, my Uncle David nodded. "We can make that work." I literally felt my stomach drop. "Wait, what about my proposal?" My dad looked uncomfortable. "Marcus, we've talked about this and we just don't think you have the business experience to handle something this complex. Cybersecurity is, well, it's not something we understand. But a brewery? That's straightforward. People, drinks, location. We get it," my mom added. "Plus, Derek has been helping his father with the landscaping business for years. He understands operations, managing employees, customer service. You've been coding." That word, coding, came out like she was saying, playing video games. "But I have potential clients ready to sign," I protested. "I have actual demand for my services." "Potential clients," Uncle David repeated. Derek has a solid business plan. I wanted to scream that Derek's solid business plan was basically beer good, people drink beer, profit, but I could see I was fighting a losing battle. The meeting ended with a family vote. Derek got his funding, $225,000 to be exact. I got a pat on the shoulder and a suggestion that maybe I should get some real business experience working for someone else first. I drove home that night feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. But you know what? I wasn't giving up. I maxed out my credit cards, took a loan against my car, and moved back into my old apartment to save money. I started my cybersecurity firm, Secure Logic Solutions, out of my bedroom with $15,000 and a prayer. Those first 2 years were brutal. I was working 80-hour weeks, living on ramen and coffee, taking on any freelance work I could find. But slowly, steadily, things started to pick up. The clients I'd pitched to the family, they became my foundation clients. Word spread. I hired my first employee, then my second. Meanwhile, Derek's brewery launched with massive fanfare. The family threw a grand opening party, local newspaper coverage, the works. For about 6 months, it looked like they'd made the right choice. But here's the thing about the craft brewery business that Derek apparently didn't research. It's absolutely brutal. The margins are thin, the competition is fierce, and managing inventory for a perishable product is incredibly complex. Plus, Derek had no idea how to actually run a business. By year 2, I was hearing whispers at family gatherings about temporary setbacks and market adjustments. Derek had gone through his initial investment and was asking for more money. The family, of course, doubled down. Year 3 was when everything changed for me. I landed a contract with a regional bank that had been hit by a ransomware attack. My team not only recovered their data, but implemented a security system that prevented 3 more attempted breaches in the following months. That success led to contracts with 2 other banks, then a hospital system, then a manufacturing company. Suddenly, Secure Logic Solutions wasn't just surviving, we were thriving. I moved out of my apartment and into a proper office space, hired 10 more employees, started turning down clients because we were booked solid. By the end of year 3, we were pulling in $2.3 million in revenue with a 35% profit margin. Derek's brewery, on the other hand, was hemorrhaging money. Turns out, people will always drink beer doesn't account for poor location, terrible management, and the fact that just because you can drink beer doesn't mean you can brew it. The family had invested an additional $180,000 trying to keep it afloat. The first hint that the family's attitude toward me was changing came at Christmas dinner that year. Instead of the usual polite questions about, "How's the computer work going?" my dad actually asked about my revenue. My mom wanted to know about my expansion plans. Uncle David, who'd barely acknowledged my existence for 3 years, started talking about synergies between my business and his landscaping contracts. I should have seen what was coming. The bomb dropped in February. I was in my office reviewing a proposal for a major healthcare client when my assistant buzzed me. "Marcus, your family is here to see you." I looked up to see my dad, Mom, Uncle David, and Derek walking into my conference room like they owned the place. They were all smiles, but something felt off. "Son," my dad said, settling into a chair, "we need to talk about the business." "My business?" I asked. "Well," Uncle David said, "that's actually what we're here to discuss." What followed was the most insane conversation of my life. They laid out their proposition like they were doing me a favor. The family had been observing my success and decided it was time to formalize our partnership. They wanted to restructure Secure Logic Solutions as a family business, with my dad as chairman, Uncle David as CEO, and me as Chief Technology Officer. "Think about it," my mum said. "You'd have access to all of our networks, our business connections, our capital for expansion. We could take this thing national." Derek, who'd been quiet until now, leaned forward. "Plus, Marcus, you're great with the technical stuff, but business development, client relations, strategic planning, that's where we could really help you." I stared at them in complete disbelief. "Help me? Where was this help 4 years ago when I actually needed it?" My dad waved that off. "That was different. You weren't ready then. But now, with what we've all built together—" "What we've built," I interrupted. "We didn't build anything. I built this, alone, with my own money, while you were throwing cash at Derek's failed brewery." Uncle David's expression hardened. Marcus, I think you're forgetting that. Family comes first. We've all contributed to your success, whether you realize it or not. The connections, the reputation, the support. What support? I was standing now, and I could feel my voice rising. You literally told me I wasn't ready to run a business. You said cybersecurity was too theoretical. You chose Derek's Brewery over my company because you understood beer better than computer security. We were protecting you, my mum said. You weren't ready for that kind of responsibility. But now I'm successful, so suddenly you want in. The conversation went downhill from there. They weren't asking to invest or partner. They were essentially trying to take over. Their generous offer would have given me a 25% stake in my own company and a salary as their employee. When I refused, Uncle David's mask slipped completely. You're making a mistake, Marcus. Family means everything in this business. Without us, you're just another small-time consultant. But if you fight us on this, you'll find out how hard it is to succeed when your own family isn't backing you. That's when I realized they weren't just delusional. They were threatening me. I stood up and walked to my office door. I think this meeting is over. Marcus, my dad said, don't be stupid about this. We built you. You can what? I turned around. Destroy me? Go ahead and try. What happened next was the most satisfying moment of my professional life. I pulled out my laptop and opened my client database. You want to know what family support looks like? Let me show you. I clicked through to my testimonials page and found the one I was looking for. This is from David Chen, CTO of Regional Medical Group. Secure Logic Solutions saved our company after a devastating cyber attack. Marcus personally worked 72 straight hours to restore our systems and prevent patient data from being compromised. His expertise and dedication went far. Beyond any contract, it was personal. I clicked to another testimonial. This is from Sarah Williams, CFO of First National Bank. When our previous cybersecurity firm failed to prevent a breach, Marcus and his team not only fixed the problem, but redesigned our entire security infrastructure. They've prevented 4 additional attacks since then, saving us millions in potential losses. I kept clicking through testimonials, client letters, industry awards, and revenue reports. 5 minutes of documentation that proved beyond any doubt that Secure Logic Solutions succeeded because of my expertise, my work, and my relationships, not because of family connections or support. This is what I built, I said, not what we built. Me. While you were funding Derek's fantasy of becoming a craft beer mogul, I was building real relationships with real clients who pay real money for real results. The room was dead silent. And you know what the best part is? I continued. Every single one of these clients came to me through my work, my reputation, and my results. Not one of them gives a damn about my family's landscaping business or auto dealerships or failed breweries. Derek finally spoke up. Marcus, you don't have to be such a dick about this. We're trying to help you. I laughed. Actually laughed. Help me. Derek, your brewery just filed for bankruptcy last month. You lost every penny the family invested in you, plus another $100,000 in loans. And now you want to help me run my profitable business? Uncle David's face was getting red. That brewery was a learning experience. We all make mistakes. No, I cut him off. I make calculated risks based on market research and financial analysis. You make mistakes, there's a difference. I walked over to my office safe and pulled out a folder I'd been keeping for exactly this moment. Since we're talking about family support, let me share something interesting. Last year, when Regional Medical Group was deciding between my firm and 2 national competitors, they called my references. You know what tipped the scales? Dr. Patricia Rodriguez, the hospital's CEO, told them that any business owner who could build a successful company without family money probably had the integrity and work ethic they wanted in a vendor. I showed them the email chain. She said, and I quote, "Too many family businesses prioritize loyalty over competence. Marcus built his reputation from scratch, which tells us he'll prioritize results over relationships." The silence in that room was deafening. So here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to leave my office. You're going to stop telling people that you built my business or that we're partners. And you're going to accept that I succeeded without you, not because of you. My dad tried one more approach. Son, we're proud of what you've accomplished. But family, I interrupted. doesn't try to steal credit for work they actively opposed. Family doesn't threaten to destroy someone's business because they won't hand over control. And family sure as hell doesn't show up demanding ownership after years of saying someone wasn't capable. I opened my office door. I think we're done here. They filed out like scolded children. Uncle David paused at the door. You'll regret this, Marcus. Business is about relationships, and you just burned your most important ones. I smiled. Actually, David, business is about results, and my results speak for themselves. Update 1. It's been 6 months since that confrontation, and wow, the aftermath has been something else. First, let me address the threats Uncle David made about burning bridges and how I'd regret not accepting their partnership. Turns out, my business relationships are a lot stronger than he thought. 2 weeks after they left my office, I got a call from Dr. Rodriguez at Regional Medical Group. She'd heard through the grapevine that my family was trying to get involved in my business and wanted to make sure I wasn't considering selling or bringing in partners who might change the company culture. Marcus, she said, one of the reasons we value Secure Logic is that you operate with integrity and focus on client needs rather than internal politics. If that ever changes, we'd have to reconsider our relationship. I assured her that Secure Logic would remain independently, owned and operated, and she seemed relieved. But it got me thinking how many other clients had heard about the family drama. The answer was more than I expected. Over the next month, I had similar conversations with 4 other major clients. Apparently, word travels fast in business circles, especially when a successful entrepreneur's family starts making noise about partnerships and family businesses. Here's what I learned. My clients aren't just buying cybersecurity services from me. They're buying trust, reliability, and the knowledge that I'm not going to suddenly change direction because of family pressure or internal power struggles. My independence isn't just a personal point of pride. It's a business asset. But the real vindication came when I got a call from James Morrison, CEO of Morrison Industrial Group. His company had been targeted by the same ransomware group that hit Regional Medical Group 2 years ago. Marcus, he said, I've been watching your company for a while. Dr. Rodriguez recommended you, but I also did my own research. I know your family tried to push their way into your business. That tells me 2 things. First, you must be doing something right if they want in, and second, you have the backbone to maintain your standards even when it's difficult. Morrison Industrial became my largest client to date, a $800,000 annual contract. Meanwhile, Derek's situation has gone from bad to worse. The brewery didn't just fail, it failed spectacularly. He's facing personal bankruptcy, and the family's total losses on his venture now exceed $400,000. But here's the kicker. Uncle David approached me again last month, not with demands this time, but with a request. He called my office directly and asked if we could meet for coffee. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Marcus, he said, looking genuinely humbled for the first time in his life, I owe you an apology. We handled that situation poorly. I waited for the but. There's always a but. But, he continued, there it was. I hope you can understand that we were just trying to help family succeed. Derek's failure has been hard on all of us, and when we saw how well you were doing, you wanted to take credit for it, I finished. He winced. We wanted to be part of it. Maybe that came across wrong. David, I said, there's a difference between wanting to be part of something and trying to take it. Over. You didn't offer to invest or partner. You tried to restructure my company with yourselves in charge. He nodded slowly. You're right. I can see that now. Then came the real reason for the meeting. Marcus, I have a proposition. A real one this time. He explained that his landscaping business was struggling with cybersecurity issues. 3 of his competitors had been hit by cyber attacks in the past year, and his commercial clients were starting to ask about his digital security measures. I'd like to hire Secure Logic Solutions to audit our systems and implement proper security protocols. This would be a legitimate business relationship, you as the vendor, us as the client. I'll admit, I was tempted to say no, just on principle. But business is business, and Uncle David's landscaping company would actually be a good fit for our small business security package. I can have my team put together a proposal, I said, but this would be handled exactly like any other client relationship. No family discounts, No special treatment and no input on how I run my business. He agreed immediately. The audit revealed that his systems were a mess. Outdated software, no encryption, passwords like password 123. It was a cyber criminal's dream. We spent 3 months implementing proper security measures, and I charged him exactly what I would charge any other client of his size, $45,000. He paid without complaint. But the most satisfying part? Last week, his biggest commercial client, a property management company, asked who handled his cybersecurity. Uncle David gave them my contact information, and they're now considering a $120,000 contract with Secure Logic. So in a twisted way, Uncle David might actually end up contributing to my success, just not in the way he originally intended. Update 2. A year and a half after the confrontation, and things have taken some unexpected turns. First, the good news. Secure Logic. Solutions just hit $4.2 million in annual revenue. We've expanded to 23 employees, opened a second office, and I'm being invited to speak at cybersecurity conferences nationwide. The company that my family said I wasn't ready to run has become a regional leader in the industry. But the real story is what happened with Derek and the family dynamics. Remember how Derek filed for bankruptcy after the brewery failure? Well, he landed on his feet in the most unexpected way possible. Last month he called me directly, not through the family, not with Uncle David pulling strings, just Derek asking if we could meet. "Marcus," he said when we sat down, "I owe you a huge apology, not just for what happened with the brewery money, but for how we treated you afterward." I was skeptical. Derek had never been one for genuine apologies. "I've spent the past year working for other people," he continued, "and I finally understand what you went through. Building a business from scratch is completely different from having startup capital handed to you." Turns out, Derek had been working for a small marketing firm, starting at the bottom, learning how businesses actually operate when they don't have family money to fall back on. He'd been handling their digital marketing campaigns and had become increasingly aware of cybersecurity vulnerabilities. "Half my clients have been asking about protecting their online presence," he said. "Social media account security, website protection, email security, stuff I know nothing about. I keep thinking about how I could refer them to someone, and your name keeps coming up." He paused, looking genuinely uncomfortable. "I know I have no right to ask this, especially after everything that happened, but would you consider letting me refer clients to you? Not as a family favor, as a legitimate business arrangement. You'd pay me a standard referral fee for any clients that convert." I was honestly shocked. This was the first time Derek had ever approached me with a genuine business proposition, rather than trying to leverage family connections. "Derek," I said, "I appreciate the apology, and I'm glad you've learned from the brewery experience. But why would you want to refer business to me instead of keeping it for yourself?" He laughed, but it wasn't bitter. "Because I finally figured out the difference between knowing a little about something and being an expert. I can help small businesses with their marketing, but cybersecurity, that's your world. I'd rather connect my clients with someone who knows what they're doing than try to fake expertise I don't have." I agreed to a trial period. Derek would refer potential clients, and if they signed contracts with Secure Logic, he'd receive a 5% referral fee. Standard industry rate, nothing special. In the past 3 months, Derek has referred 8 potential clients. 6 of them signed contracts, bringing in $280,000 in new business. Derek earned $14,000 in referral fees, and more importantly, he's building his own reputation as someone who connects businesses with quality service providers. But here's the twist that really surprised me. Derek asked if he could attend one of my client consultations to better understand what cybersecurity entails. "I don't want to refer people to services I don't understand," he said. "If I'm going to represent your work, I should know what I'm talking about." I invited him to sit in on a consultation with a small manufacturing company. Derek took notes, asked intelligent questions, and afterward, he had a better understanding of why cybersecurity costs what it costs and why it's essential. "Jesus, Marcus," he said as we left the meeting. "I had no idea how complex this stuff is. When we were kids, I thought computer security meant having a password, but this is like, you're basically building a digital fortress for each client." The family dynamic has shifted dramatically. My parents still don't fully understand what I do, but they've stopped questioning my business decisions. Uncle David has become one of my most vocal advocates. Apparently, preventing a cyber attack on his business earned me serious credibility in his eyes. And Derek? Derek has become something I never expected, a genuine business ally. Last month, we formalized our referral relationship. Derek started a marketing consultancy focused on small businesses, and cybersecurity assessment is now part of his standard client onboarding process. He's not trying to be a cybersecurity expert. He's positioning himself as someone who knows when to bring in specialists. "I learned something important from the brewery failure," he told me recently. "There's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being good at everything. I'm good at marketing and client relationships. You're good at cybersecurity. Why would either of us try to do the other's job?" The most satisfying moment came at last month's family dinner. My dad was telling the table about a client whose business was saved when we prevented a ransomware attack. "Marcus has really built something special," he said. "I'll admit I didn't understand it at first, but watching him work with actual clients, this isn't just computer stuff. This is real business expertise." Uncle David nodded. "Derek's been explaining some of the technical aspects to me. Marcus isn't just selling software. He's basically a digital consultant, helping businesses understand and manage risks they don't even know they have." For the first time in years, I felt like my family actually understood what I do for a living. But the real vindication came when Derek stood up during dessert. "I want to say something," he announced. 4 years ago, Marcus asked the family for help starting a cybersecurity business. We said no because we didn't understand it, and we funded my brewery instead because beer seemed simpler." The table got quiet. "That was the stupidest business decision any of us ever made," Derek continued. "Marcus built a multi-million-dollar company without our help, while I lost every penny you invested in me. If we'd supported him from the beginning, we might have been part of something amazing. Instead, Marcus proved he didn't need us, which honestly makes what he accomplished even more impressive." He raised his glass. "So, here's to Marcus, for building something incredible despite our lack of faith, and for still being willing to work with family even after we screwed up." I won't lie, it felt pretty good to hear that acknowledgement. Update 3. 2 years after the confrontation, as my family now calls it, I'm writing what I hope will be my final update on this saga, because something amazing just happened. Secure Logic Solutions was acquired, not sold because I needed the money or forced out by competitors. We were approached by Cybertech Global, one of the largest cybersecurity firms in the country, who wanted to acquire us specifically because of our client relationships and reputation for handling complex, small to medium business security needs. The acquisition price? $12.7 million. I'm staying on as regional director, keeping my team intact and maintaining our client relationships. But I'm also now part of a larger organization with resources I could never have accessed. As an independent firm, remember how my family said I wasn't ready to run a business and needed their guidance? Well, Cybertech Global's CEO, Patricia Williams, said something interesting during the acquisition negotiations. "Marcus, one of the things that impressed us most about Secure Logic is that you built it without outside investment or family money. That tells us you understand the real challenges of business operations and client service. Too many entrepreneurs succeed because of connections or startup capital, then struggle when they face actual market pressures. Your track record shows you can build and maintain a business based purely on results." She continued, "We've looked at acquiring dozens of small cybersecurity firms, but most of them are either too dependent on their founders or too disconnected from client needs. Secure Logic operates like a much larger company while maintaining the personal touch that clients value. That's exactly what we want to scale nationally." The most satisfying part? During the due diligence process, Cybertech interviewed my major clients to understand why they chose Secure Logic and whether they'd continue the relationship after acquisition. Dr. Rodriguez from Regional Medical Group told them, "Marcus built his business on competence and integrity. He's never oversold services we don't need or used personal relationships to pressure us into contracts. He earns our business every year by delivering results." James Morrison from Morrison Industrial Group said, "I've worked with entrepreneurs who succeeded because of family money or connections, and they tend to lose focus once they're comfortable. Marcus succeeded despite family obstacles, which means he's motivated by the work itself, not just the profit." But here's the unexpected twist. Derek played a role in the acquisition. Remember how he'd been referring clients to me? Well, one of those referrals was a mid-sized logistics company that needed comprehensive security for their new e-commerce platform. That project caught Cybertech's attention because it demonstrated our ability to handle complex integrations for growing businesses. Derek's referral directly contributed to the acquisition offer. When I told him about the sale, Derek's reaction surprised me. "Marcus, I'm proud of you, but I'm also grateful. Working with you these past 2 years taught me more about business than the brewery failure ever did. You showed me that success comes from understanding your clients' needs and delivering solutions, not from having good ideas or family connections." He paused, then grinned. "Plus, my referral fees from your contracts are funding my marketing consultancy expansion, so in a weird way, your success is helping me build my own business the right way this time." Derek has indeed built a successful marketing consultancy. He specializes in helping small businesses develop comprehensive service partnerships, marketing, cybersecurity, accounting, legal services, by connecting them with specialists rather than trying to provide everything himself. "I learned that trying to be everything to everyone is a recipe for failure," he told me. "Now I focus on what I'm good at and partner with experts for everything else." His business model is brilliant. Instead of competing with specialists, he positions himself as the coordinator who helps businesses build their professional support teams. His referral relationships with cybersecurity, accounting firms, legal practices, and other specialists have made him valuable to clients who need multiple services but don't want to manage multiple vendor relationships. Derek's consultancy is now generating $300,000 annually, and he's building it sustainably without debt or family investment. The family dynamic has completely changed. At last week's Sunday dinner, my dad said something that really hit me. "Marcus, I owe you an apology that's years overdue. When you first proposed the cybersecurity business, I said you weren't ready to run a company. But you weren't the one who wasn't ready. We weren't ready to understand what you were building." He looked around the table. "You proved that business success comes from expertise, client relationships, and hard work. We were thinking about business the old way, family connections, industries we understood, traditional models. You were ahead of us, and instead of trying to learn from you, we dismissed you." Uncle David added, "The landscaping business has grown 40% since we implemented proper cybersecurity. 3 of my biggest contracts came from clients who chose us specifically because we could demonstrate that our systems were secure. Marcus didn't just build his own business, he made all of our businesses better. But my mum's comment was the one that really got to me. Marcus, I spent years worried that you were isolating yourself from family by building your business independently. But watching you work with Derek, helping your uncle's business, maintaining relationships even after we hurt you, you didn't isolate yourself from family. You just refused to let family dysfunction compromise your professional standards." She was right. I'd spent years thinking that success meant proving I didn't need them, but real success meant building something valuable enough that they wanted to be. Part of it on my terms, not theirs. The acquisition money is nice, but the real victory is that I built exactly what I set out to build. A cybersecurity firm that succeeds because of expertise, client relationships, and results. No family money, no special connections, no shortcuts. And now that business is part of something bigger, something that can help clients nationwide. Derek summed it up perfectly at dinner. Marcus didn't just build a successful business, he built it the right way. And he proved that the right way works even when it's harder. Looking back, getting rejected by my family was the best thing that could have happened to my business. It forced me to build something that could succeed on its own merits, and that foundation made everything else possible. Sometimes the people who believe in you least end up teaching you the most about believing in yourself. Final note. For anyone dealing with family members who don't support their business dreams, their lack of faith doesn't determine your potential. Build something so undeniably successful that they have no choice but to respect it. And if they try to take credit after the fact, well, let your results speak for themselves. Trust me, it's the best revenge possible.